That was the power of disruption. But later on, you've got to tell us where you see these big disruptive ideas in the equity markets as well, so that all of us can invest in them. But anyway, let's move on that note and invite our third speaker, the co-MD of Prabhudas Leeladhar, Mr. Dilip Bhatt. A warm round of applause, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, CNBC. I think CNBC has coined a very catchy phrase, and that is get rich. I think all of us are really looking forward to get rich. Really speaking, what is the advantage? One of the advantage of getting rich and having money is that all your faults are passed off as eccentricities. If you have money, people are ready to forgive all your faults. They also say that money is not necessarily the most important thing in the world. They say love is the most important thing in the world. But we all of us are so practical. So we say that we love money. And now that we all love money, let's see how we can really go and make that money. Sorry, just 1 second. Sure. There is this slide which I have just put up. Now this says, how can you get rich? This is the wealth which has been created by the Indian equities. 1981 to 1990, Sensex has grown 7 times. 91 to 2000, 4 times. 2001 to 2010, 5.2 times. And the story continues. The trajectory continues. What story does it tell us? That if you really want to make money, you have to stay put with the equities. As like George Soros said, if investing is something like you're entertaining yourself, then you're not making serious money. As Paul Samuelson said, that if you have to really understand what investment is, it is like doing your own painting and waiting it to get dry, or to see the grasses grow. So it becomes a very boring job. But most important is that you invest in equities, hold on to it, and then reap the rewards. I think most of us would have seen that if you just open your portfolios and see that what has made money, the stocks which you have held on has really given you a good returns rather than something where you are traded. It doesn't matter 1 or 2 stocks have not really performed well. If the basket of your stocks have done well, I think you are there. Thoda aage, thoda piche, but you will definitely be there making money. You know, it's like an analogy which I can give, that you're taken a train from Churchgate and you want to go to Virar. And when the train starts, maybe the train is a little slow and then you see some train is going fast. So you decide to get down from that particular train to any of the stations. And that is where the investments which you make, and if you do that, you make a mistake. Because you're getting off the stations and forgetting about your ultimate destination. So I think one of the ways to make money is buy, hold, and wait. And that is what is really going to help. Now, when we talk about the dilemma of the investors, when we are talking to each other, it is very clear that the investors have a lot of dilemmas right now. We are looking at indices scaling new high. So what do we do? Whether we wait, whether we invest now, later, where to invest, fear of the future. I think this dilemma of the investors can be very well captured in some of the contradictions which is there in the current scenario. We have seen the earnings growth, which is not very robust. You know, we started off 2014-15, when I say we, meaning the entire investor fraternity. We started off with an earnings growth expectation of something like 20%. What came was merely 4%. Again, 14-15 happened, 15-16 we started, we said earnings growth once again can be around 20%. Can you take a guess what was the earnings growth that year? It was negative 4%. So this dilemma continues, that prices are going up but earnings are not catching up. So that's the dilemma that investors are facing. But against that, there is a very solid GDP growth. Markets are awash with liquidity, but credit growth is at a 50-year low. Capacity utilization is low, but FDIs are at a record high. So against this dilemma, I think we should really congratulate this government. This government really deserves a very special mention and special praise, that with this kind of vulnerable situation that not just India, even the world is facing, they have managed to give a lot of confidence to both the people of India as well as the foreign investors who have now started looking into India in a big way. So what gives us the confidence about India? I think one of the most very known factor is that India is really growing very fast, perhaps the fastest at the moment, if you were to omit some of the smaller countries. I think another part which really gives a lot of confidence is these four factors. As what I said, the GDP growth being so solid, CPI, consumer inflation, being one of the lowest, fiscal consolidation being very much as per the plan. Controlling fiscal deficit is something which all the big long-term investors really like, and even the current account deficit. I think first time after maybe decades, equities have come back to a very sweet spot. All the competing verticals, asset class, I think they are losing their sheen. Whether it is real estate, in the last preceding 10 to 12 years, a lot of money went into the real estate. We saw that people were either purchasing land, real estate, or whoever had some money, they became builders. And we always heard those fancy stories about the astronomical returns people got. But now I think one thing is very clear, that real estate is not a very liquid asset, and returns have really sobered down. I think more than sobering down, it has become very muted. I think the FDs, fixed deposits, less said the better, with the falling interest rates. And of course gold. I think gold has also lost its glitter world over. So I'll just quickly come to what are the top themes that we think can work in this particular, in the coming few years. which will help us make some wealth creation much more than the others. I think financials is certainly one of the things which is leading, and financials has changed from just being a bank and then from being a private bank to more of NBFCs and microfinance companies. I think some of the business models which are emerging are very robust and very strong. I think another two sectors, healthcare and aviation, looks pretty good and interesting. Particularly, healthcare doesn't necessarily only mean the pharmaceutical companies. You have the likes of Thyrocare and Dr. Lal's. Rural and infra play continues to be pretty good, and that is what we should always look at. As what Devin was just very rightly and very nicely explaining, India is not just reforming, India is also transforming. It is from a reform to transform. We have seen that how the entire DIIs, mutual funds, insurance companies, all of them have been pumping money into the market. There's so much of money which is flowing into the mutual funds. I think the mutual fund SIPs stood at 1.35 crores, and the total amount collected through SIP during April was 4,269 crores. So I think we are all looking at how this kind of money can really provide a solid tailwind and can help the markets grow on a longer term basis. We prefer to look at the market as a big channel. We have to see whether the channel is upwards. And within that channel, you will find enough movements which will give some correction. But so long as the channel is one of taking a northern trajectory, I think it deserves one to invest in this particular market and remain invested. Now, before I just come to a few ideas, which stock ideas, I think some of the important points that we follow for the purpose of investment when we select any company. You know, we look at the return on equities, we look at free cash, we look at bandwidth of the management, and fourth, the capital intensity of the business. In my experience over last 15 years, I can say that bandwidth of the management is perhaps one of the most important things. You know, 2004 to 2008 was such a golden era. It was like never before, possibly never after. We saw how the stock markets went crazy. All of us were recommending a lot of companies, including us. What we found out was that there were so many mid-cap companies which really did pretty well. For example, I just take a sector, infra sector. We had quite a few companies which we saw from being a 300, 400 crore company to being a 5,000 crore company. We all got so excited by that growth. From the order book position of this infra companies, from mere 500 crores, it went to 10,000 crores. But we all forgot in the process, when we were interacting with the management, all of us just did that Excel calculation, extrapolated, that this is the kind of growth, 2 years, itna growth aaya, and for next 5 years, they'll continue to grow. But our very hard and bitter experience about some of these companies has been that the management bandwidth is not very adequate for them to really negotiate through this particular growth. Why I'm telling this is because even today, once again, the mid-caps have really started going up. And, everybody is so excited and everybody wants a mid-cap idea. I think so far, so good. But at any point of time, every one of us should focus whether this management is growing very well, they'll grow 20% this year, maybe 40% next year, but whether on a 5-year basis, whether they can grow like that. And that is where the dilemma comes, that we have to really take that call. And that's possible once you really know about the management, interact with them. So I just said these 3 points: ROEs, free cash, bandwidth, and fourth, of course, the capital intensity of the business. Very broadly, I think these 4 ideas is what we really like. Of course, there are so many other stocks. For example, Britannia. We first recommended Britannia when it was 400, 450 rupees. So the question that comes is, did we see that it can go up to 3,000, 3,500? Very frankly, no. But once you own a good business, once you recommend a good stock, you have a certain targets. But what you do is, you closely monitor them, and then you keep on revising those targets. For example, Britannia, when we recommended, maybe we thought that 1,200, 1,300 would be good. Now the way it has moved up is something which really surprised us. But when we started tracking the yearly performance and then going forward on a rolling basis, we thought that this stock was good and still has a good scope to grow over next 3 to 4 years. Why? Very good. 40-45% is the ROE of the company. It generates almost 20-22% of the sales as free cash. And fortunately, the management has really demonstrated a good ability of themselves to perform. I was talking about this healthcare segment. There is this Thyrocare. Now, Thyrocare is basically in the diagnostic business. There are, at the moment, only maybe a couple of listed players. Thyrocare, Dr. Last, and maybe to some extent Fortis. Our understanding of this business is that maybe in next 7 to 8 years, each of these companies have the potential to grow up to almost $1 billion in business terms. Now, once again, the same question comes whether the management bandwidth is good enough. But our call broadly is that some of these managements are doing things in a very good and a professional way. I think the other 2 companies, L&T Financial Services, we think that from here on, the company still will show a reasonably good growth, a good EPS growth, good profit growth, and of course the ROEs will start coming. And fourth, Glenmark, a little contrarian call. It has taken it on the chin in the last 1 week or so, but we still feel that from here on a risk-return basis for next 2 to 3 years, this is a stock which can give very good returns. They have got some very good approvals which is happening. They are on debt reduction course. And of course, we are all looking forward for the company to generate a serious amount of free cash. I think with this, I would just like to wind up, and I would just say that, yes, equities continue to will continue to be the flavor for some more time, and I think we all should remain invested in the equities and not allow our short-term investments to become long-term investments by default because they are in losses, and we convert our long-term investment which is profitable and we book profits in them. With this, I would just like to conclude. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.
Financial partner, Axis Direct. Simple है.